Top of the morning to you. Good morning.
Yeah, so good to have you this morning, to be with us. Welcome to Ben and Sharon Intentional Living. It's wonderful to get to come into your vehicles this morning or in your homes, wherever you're tuning in from.
That's right. If we didn't have you guys listening in, we'd have no one to talk to. So
nobody to talk to except y'all. Y'all are so important to us, and we love you so much that we want to talk to you first thing every Monday morning. We hope that you enjoy these podcasts, and they are intentionally meant to bless you and to encourage you. So guess what?
What's that?
It's almost Thanksgiving.
I know. I love Thanksgiving.
I
love
do
turkey.
Too.
My goodness, I love good smoked turkey or fried turkey or deep fried. Or
we've started doing that the last few years.
I like it.
And never had one until about 4 years ago, something like that. And man, talk about change. That changed our life when we ate fried turkey. So
it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. So we've even watched a couple of Christmas movies. I'm seeing some of you ladies got your Christmas decorations up, and so that's coming in the next week or so. So get ready.
Yeah.
We're gonna have Christmas decorations up. So I decorate my house for Christmas before Thanksgiving. I leave my table decorated for Thanksgiving. So, and then of course we like to shop the day after Thanksgiving and get things off that way. So I know everybody has their traditions, and we do hope that you get to spend this Thanksgiving with your friends and your family. Such as that. So
well, and it's funny you saying that, because it kind of segues into what we're talking about, because it's really important to have traditions that you do, because we do like those, and we do like for our traditions not to change. But actually our subject, it's funny that you was talking about that. Our subject for today that we want to talk about is navigating change. We don't always get to talk about these things in the pulpit, from ministry perspective. So these are just things that we can talk about and be applicable into our lives, that we need. I think they're very, that's what we want to do. We want to bring you things that you can actually use and have application into your life.
And change is not always a negative thing. Change can be good.
That's true.
Change can be good, but we all know that sometimes navigating change, no matter even if it is good, sometimes it's hard.
Yes, that's right.
I've got a tickle in my throat this morning. I'm so sorry. We don't want to restart the podcast every time that we have a glitch, so maybe y'all pray for me. This will settle down here, but
change is inevitable. I think it's just a part of life. We go, we're going to go through seasons of change. The Bible says there's a season and a time for everything under heaven.
Yes.
And of course, so it's coming. There's always a change coming to your life, whether that's in your family dynamic.
That's right.
You have,
it's inevitable.
It's inevitable. Jobs, but navigating through them is what I think is the key. Is how we all respond to change and accept change.
Yes. And change. Talking about change, in our lives, we now have grandchildren, and it was a change for us. We had when you and I married, we had 6-year-old son and 11-year-old daughter, and they started playing ball and going 2 different ways, and we were raising them, and then we got into teenage years, and Lord, how many of you know that you talk about change, that really brings some change when you're trying to navigate that and bringing those kinds of things into your family dynamic. And then but especially at the holidays, when there's those people that you aren't around all the time, and you got those special family members that you only see once a year, maybe, or twice a year, or whatever. And for a lot of people, it's an exciting time. They can't wait,
Yeah.
you know, to see those people. But there are some people who are like, I don't really want to go. Let's eat our turkey and go home,
Yeah.
or whatever. But so sometimes that can be, you know, maybe somebody married into the family, and you're like,
Yeah.
you know, Thanksgiving's never been the same, or Christmas has never been the same, or whatever. So, you know, that's a change too for
Yeah.
different family dynamics
Yeah.
and stuff. But
And it's inevitable. I mean, you just got to understand that it's changes are going to happen. We're, you know, you know, in just leadership talks that we've had with some of our leadership in at times past, you know, if I like old vehicles. I prefer the old cars and the old trucks. They're attractive to my eyes. The body style's way better than a new one. I like old cars, old trucks. And if I were going to go out and I was going to start a car lot, open a car lot and sell old cars and old trucks, I would sell a few. I would sell a few, but you know, if I'm not willing to change with what's in demand, you know, I could sell a lot more if I could appeal to what's more attractive to the generations now, or what's in demand. You know, what people are reaching out for. I would sell a few old cars, but I could sell a lot more new style cars. You know.
so
Whether I like it or not, because I could stick to I like the old cars, you know, I like the old ones
Right.
better, and I'm going to minimize my traffic in my car lot or whatever
Right.
it might be. So it's
so-
inevitable.
talking about when you and I were discussing this topic, we got on the subject of there are people who literally absolutely hate change of any kind.
Yeah,
I mean, they buy the same brand of bologna. They buy the same style shoe.
Yeah.
They have had the same hairstyle for 30 years. Now, folks, there's nothing wrong with any of that kind of thing. That's personal things. But when those things start to affect the people around you, and especially we've even seen that in church, where people just, and the only explanation they have for not wanting something to change is, well, we've always done it that way.
yeah,
That is a killer.
yeah,
That is and even in families, even in workplace, and because you know, obviously in biblical days they wore robes and sandals, and what, you know, if you go to Tupelo in robes and sandals today, you're going to be looked at as strange, because that's not our culture anymore.
Yeah.
Because change happened, and over time change happened, styles change and things, and we're not talking about styles or what name brand of bologna or whatever, but change itself. And that's hard probably for all of us in some
yeah.
area of our life,
Yeah.
that like, no, I don't want that to change.
yes, I agree. I mean,
You're consistent about probably most everything in your life, and like, you know, doing things consistently the same way. It's kind of like, if it's not broke, don't fix it, you know, sort of thing. Some things that we don't have choices
yeah, right,
about, it kind of makes us feel out of control.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's where the fear comes in
Yeah.
with changes,
Yeah.
because when something happens and it forces us to change something,
Yeah,
it's kind
that's
of like
true.
we've been
Yeah.
thrown overboard for a minute and lost our breath or
Yeah.
something.
yeah. And I think that subject, you know, we're talking about how to navigate the change, and that really falls back on leadership. You know, from you know, how you navigate the change. I heard it said by someone once before. You can't turn a cruise ship on a dime. You'll throw everyone off the cruise ship.
Turn it over.
Yeah. Now you can take a speedboat out, a smaller speedboat out. It's just a couple of people, and the speedboat, you know, ski boat or whatever and turn it pretty fast and everybody stays on board. But you can't, if you're trying to navigate a large organization, whether it's a company, whether it's a church, whatever it might be, you can't come in and just change and flip-flop everything at one time. You start to throw people off the boat.
That's right. And in that aspect, you kind of think about that, where there's the bigger the thing is, and the more people that are involved, the slower that change has to take place, because too much too quick is too much too quick. And so then, and we've dealt with some of that, at Genesis.
You have to pace yourself.
You have to pace yourself. You can, and a lot of times for, leaders, pastors, I think, really, because God gives you a vision, and you have a vision, and you can see where what that is, and you see where it's at. But to navigate, like we're talking about, navigate the changes that need to take place to get us there, because, and making sure that the people around you and the people who are in this with you, on the ship with you, if you would, understand, okay, we're turning, we're doing this a little bit at a time, then understand, and they may not always understand why. But to know and to trust, and I think, it's like inevitable change in our lives. We have to trust God.
That's right. At the end of the day.
To know at the end of the day, we have to trust God, having a relationship with Him, and trusting Him to know that whatever change, you reference that in Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season and a time.
Yeah.
And so we have to, and the way to navigate that, and it's different for each thing, obviously.
Right.
But the changes that are inevitable, we have to trust God.
Yes.
The changes that we struggle with, that we might not understand why our company is doing what they're doing. Why our employer is doing what they're doing, the changes that they're making. We have to keep in mind, sometimes we do not know.
We
don't have a full picture.
We don't have a full picture.
And sometimes they are bad changes.
That's true.
And eventually they'll find that out.
I think that as a leader, and I'm probably speaking to some leaders out there, whether you're manager, leader, maybe you're another church pastor or something, whatever, in some form of leadership in ministry, whatever it might be, it's very important to remember you have to be honest with yourself why you're making the changes. Is it necessary? John Maxwell, which is a great leadership,
love John Maxwell,
speaker that you can find all over the internet, his quotes and various different things. I think he's kind of the guru, the first guy of all the leadership talks and everything. But he said many years ago, if you need no change, then you need no leader, because that's what leadership is developed around, is like a change needs to happen. Well, if you take if a company hires a new CEO, obviously there's a change that needs to be made. They want to see more growth, more business. If a school hires or team hires a new coach, it's because they're having a losing season. They want to see some change. They want to see a winning season. So there's change, and they hire another leader to come in and say, "Can you turn this around? We retire to losing? We want to win, or we want to gain business."
We always have to remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So. Yeah. That's the truth. Yeah. It's just the truth. If nothing changes, then nothing changes.
Right.
So a lot of times I think that people get stuck in their lives because they refuse to make changes.
Yeah. Right.
People just refuse to make change because they're comfortable. That's maybe they need to make, maybe you need to make a change in your job.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to make a change. Maybe even God's been ministering to you about that, and you need to make a change. But because you're comfortable where you are, and you have confidence that you know how to do that job, and you're afraid to step out, if God is dealing with you about to make change in some area, then He's going to give you the grace, the wisdom, and the knowledge to make that change.
Yeah. From just want you all to know. I mean, we're kind of speaking of this as we're trying to, I guess they say, take a 30,000 feet flight over. We're taking a big look at this.
Yes,
a big
change
look
is a
at
huge
change.
umbrella.
It is. It's a big look at it. But I think it's always important to know why you're changing. I go back to that. It's like have a response for those who are going to offer resistance to change. And personal changes though in your life though.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we haven't dabbled into that yet, but when we talk about personal changes that need to happen in our life, definitely is a place where we need to look into sometimes, and if there's
And,
things we need to
sometimes-
change personally.
Right, and sometimes it's not about the changes that we make, but what we talked about in the beginning, things that come into our personal lives that force change.
Yeah.
Maybe a death. Maybe a marriage, maybe loss of a job, maybe maybe some change that's come to us that we were not in control of and we didn't get a choice in.
Yeah.
A divorce, something like that, and that change that is a huge thing for kids to go through. And I'd say this: parents, don't forget that when change is happening in your life, it's happening in your kids' lives too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So be sensitive to the fact that they don't always know why things changed or why and so create a safe space for them
Yes.
during that change. But when things come that we are out of control of, really the only thing that we can do is, for the lack of a better word, as my grandpa used to say, you got to hunker down in the Word and just stand on the Word and stand on your faith.
Yeah.
And allow God to help you navigate that change. The word to navigate just means to make your way through.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Right.
that's what it feels
Yeah.
like when change comes. It's like when something's out of your control, you're just trying to find the way through that. You're just, every day when you wake up, you're trying to navigate your way through. What's today going to look like? This is not what I had in mind.
Yeah.
This is not what I had. Maybe you had a spouse to leave. Maybe you just something that was totally out of your control. And you've got up on this Monday morning, and you're like, this is not what I thought my life would look like. It's just
Excuse
not
me.
what I thought my life would look like. But God has a plan. And navigating through that, the very idea and the very fact that you are alive and breathing this morning and listening to this podcast is God's way of saying, I'm not done, I've got a plan, and we're going to navigate this together. The best way to get the best result is to navigate through it with God, because He knows what's on the
That's
other
right.
side.
That's
He
right.
knew the change was coming.
That's right.
And He will prepare us and help us. We've experienced that.
Yes.
So
Yes, He will. He will. And as we get ready to close this out, as like you say, we don't get a chance to talk about these things always in the pulpit or from a ministry perspective, but I do believe they're important to your life. And if you have been a person who's been resistant to change, who's just been one of those sticks in the mud or whatever, I don't like change or whatever, give some grace to the people who are trying to navigate it, as we say, to understand why, or maybe open mind to understand why the changes are necessary. That there may be benefit on the other side of making some changes, whether that's in your job or with your boss, give them some grace. You know, they're
Yes.
doing the best they can. They've been hired to do a position or do a job, and sometimes then we may not like the decision they make. And
Right.
I've been there. And
yes.
just I didn't like some of the changes, but you know, I had to look at
And
it.
those changes prove to not be good sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
That's
or
a
maybe,
fact.
or maybe
Yeah.
they fit the company, but they don't fit you.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, I would say that's kind of certainly with the culture shifts. There's a lot of companies that are making, and I don't, you know,
Right.
we don't dabble into that too much. We'll be here a little bit longer on this podcast, but I mean, companies make cultural changes that are more politically correct, and a lot of times they don't line up with your values. It's okay to
Yes.
say, you know, I can, if you know, part of me understands that, but I can't. That's not, you know, the way I feel about this,
Right.
and I can't do that. So, but just, you know, have some grace with people, and as they are trying to figure out how to navigate change. But it's also on us that are on the receiving end of change to figure out how to navigate change. And I want to leave this with you. I believe this fully, that we measure time by, you know, minutes, days, dates on the calendar, whatever it is, but life is measured by seasons more than it is by a clock or a
Yes.
date on the calendar. So as we started off with that scripture, to everything there is a season and a time appointed by God that is under heaven. So trust
Yes.
God in all the changes that are coming your way, as Sharon said,
Yes.
personal loss or changes in your
Yes.
life changes and things like that. So
Yes, and
trust the Lord.
And we're coming up on a new year here in a couple of months, and so many people make New Year's resolutions and this and that, and then they last a week and it's over till the next year,
Yeah.
whatever. We're not talking about that kind of change. We're talking about true change.
Yes, right.
And he will help us navigate through these things if we just trust God. He will help us navigate through those things.
He will.
So,
He will. He
we
certainly,
love
He's
you.
faithful.
And we thank you so much again for being with us today.
Yeah, so till next week, it's Ben and Sharon, Intentional Living. We'll see you next week.